Let me start out by saying this. If you are religious, I support your right to be religious. I support freedom of religion. If you are a Christian, a Muslim, agnostic, an atheist, I support whatever it is that you believe in your own personal life. I support you. What I do not support is people forcing their religions, what they believe, onto the grand of society. I do not support that because not everybody has the same belief. It is fine if you want to live your life your way via your religion. It is not okay for you to put your religion onto somebody else and make them live your religion even though they don't believe in it. I wanted to start this video this way because I have a little bit of an FAFO for some of the people in Texas. I've said on a couple of other videos about Republicans in particular banning books for all kinds of reasons that they decide they want to ban books. The biggest one is usually, sexual exploitation or explicit content or something like that, which the last name gay is not explicit content, by the way. I will never let you live that down. So the Republicans in Texas, I think it was November. It was like November 22nd that the reporting started coming out about how the state approved Bible teachings in their classrooms, K through 5 or K through 12. And that got, a lot of people naturally up in an uproar because not everybody's religious. Not everybody wants their kids subjected to religious teachings. If you want your kids subjected to religious teachings, take them to church or teach them yourself. I don't understand why people get upset when you say that because that's your life. I fully support your right to take your kid to a church and teach them what you want to teach them. A school that is government run is not the place to be teaching one specific religion. Now, if they're going to teach all religions in that class, then I'm all for that. Teach them about everything. Teach them about Buddhism. Teach them about Shinto. Teach them about Judaism. I am all about knowledge and giving our kids knowledge, but this is not what this was for. This was basically teaching our kids that the Bible is the only way and that is it. And if you believe that, 100% I support you in your belief. But there are other religions that are even older than Christianity for a reason. So all of those religions combined is the reason why we have freedom of religion in this country. It is not a Christian country. It's freedom of religion in this country. You are free to practice whatever religion that you want to practice. That means that religions should not be taught in government institutions, right? Like if you want your kid to go to a private school and that's a religious private school, there you go. Do that. But if they are getting government funded, there is a separation of church and state for a reason. So they approved that on the 22nd of November. Then in December, on the 20th, this happened.
We have big news right now. A Texas book ban actually forced a school district to remove the Bible from shelves in the library. This was a temporary removal as a result of the state's Reader Act and occurred in the Canyon Independent School District. So the book ban at issue is HB 900. The full text of the bill essentially requires library vendors to rate materials for explicit content, inform parents of potentially explicit books, and recall materials already in circulation when required. In essence, it requires library content to align with state educational standards. And for a period of time, temporarily, HB 900 was cited by this school district, the Canyon Independent School District, as a reason to remove the Bible from library bookshelves in 21 schools across counties. Superintendent Daryl Flush says in an email, quote, HB 900 doesn't allow numerous books, including the full text of the Bible, to be available in the school library. I guess this is one of those F around, find out moments.
Now, I have to say, it was only temporary and they overturned it. But I found it to be absolutely hilarious that their banning of books came back on them. Because yes, the Bible is pretty explicit. If you've actually read the Bible and you see what's in there, they got some pretty raunchy stuff. It's not fit for kids, many of those stories. And so people are upset about how the cage bird sings, which is one of the ones that they banned, or Midsummer Night's Dream. My brother was actually the lead in that play when we were in high school. All these books they don't like. Some of them have banned To Kill a Mockingbird. But when it comes to their book, which has the same stuff in there, the same explicit content that they claim they don't want their kids to be subjected to, why do you want your kids to be subjected to the explicit content in the Bible, but not a book that's teaching you, that's not explicit at all? It just has people holding hands or something, but those people just happen to be of the same sex. They're holding hands and you're like, oh, that's too sexually explicit. Is it? Or is it just something you don't like? Because they got full out in the Bible and y'all don't seem to care about that at all. So you're picking and choosing what you decide to care about based on what your religion is and what you want kids in general to learn. And you do not have control over someone else's kid. And I think that's the reason why that bothers me so much, is because now I have kids in school. And if Arizona did what Texas did and started teaching the Bible in school, I would be pretty upset about that. Even if I were Christian, I would be upset about that.
Not all religious organizations favor teaching lessons from the Bible as an option in Texas elementary schools.
I think it's very bad for religion, and it's very bad for public education.
Reverend Paul Rauschenbusch is president and CEO of Interfaith Alliance, composed of many faiths at the intersection of democracy and religion, and is against the idea of Bible stories like the Good Samaritan or the Golden Rule being taught in kindergarten through 5th grade.
Don't you want control over how your faith is taught? And don't you want to tell those stories yourself and be the one who imparts the meaning of those stories instead of having someone who you don't know talk about your own faith?
In a preliminary vote earlier this week, 8 of the 15 board members in favor of adopting the Bluebonnet Learning state-developed instructional material.
Does it work? Well, I have a school district in my SBOE district that did it. And I went and watched it. I've watched it. I've sat in the classrooms. And I think it works.
I just think that if we try to let too much be taken over by any one religion, we risk damaging the experience of children who have differing beliefs.
Texas school districts can choose what curriculum they want to use, but the state will offer financial incentive, $60 to a district for every student using Bluebonnet if it passes the final State Board of Education vote. Some are praying public schools stay free of religious teachings and that Bible study stays in Sunday school.
What we really want in this country is religious freedom that is true religious freedom for everyone, because that's the only way it works.
Now, granted, they are giving schools a choice about whether or not they want to teach this curriculum or not. So they are not necessarily forcing the schools to do it, but they are also giving $60 per kid that this religious curriculum is taught to these schools. And if we know anything about the American school system, the schools need money. So what do you think they're gonna do? Are they going to just be like, no, on principle, and I'm not teaching this because I believe in freedom of religion and no kids should be subjected to one religion? Or are they gonna take the money? And this is a problem because you do not know what they are actually going to be teaching your kid. And if they are doing it for the money, this could be a real problem for you. This could be a really big problem for your community. I wouldn't know what, just like you guys are like, I don't want people talking to my kid about love is love and same-sex marriages or same-sex relationships because I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying about the Bible. I don't know what stuff they're putting in my kid's head about the Bible. And that's something that you should probably be worried about too if you have a kid who's in Texas or a kid who's in Colorado or a kid who's in one of these places where they're teaching the Bible in school. You don't know how they're interpreting the Bible. You don't know the teachings that they are teaching because the Bible can be used to justify a whole bunch of stuff. It was used to justify slavery of black people. It was used to justify degrading of women and the sexism of women, keeping women in their place. That's all Bible. The fact that women do not have rights, the fact that we don't have control and bodily autonomy of our own bodies, that's religious based. So, you're teaching girls that they are lower than boys on the totem pole. You're teaching boys that they can be promiscuous and go around here and be players and all this other stuff, but girls have to be sacred. But who you think the boy's playing with? But then when the girls try to be sacred and the boys are being promiscuous and the boy takes advantage of the girl, it's still somehow the girl's fault because of what she wears? Because of how she was endowed? That's all religious based, and probably a reason why I'm no longer religious. Even if you are religious, you don't know what these people in these schools are implanting in your kid's head at a time when they are very malleable. So this just isn't a problem for non-religious people. It's a problem for everyone because everyone has a different interpretation of the Bible. And you don't want your kid getting the wrong one, which is why you need to take control over your kid's religion if you are religious and that's what you want to do. Take them to a church you trust. Don't let the government do that. If a church is advocating for Bibles to be in schools and we are blending the lines of church and state, then churches need to start paying taxes. Do you know how much revenue this country can make if churches pay taxes? Girl! Okay, so this may be for another video, but I'm just going to say this. In the Christian Bible, Jesus himself is a supporter of universal health care, kids eating, feeding the hungry, clothing the homeless. So if you were truly Christian and truly following all of the things that you say you follow, then you would probably not vote for the people who are against universal health care, who are against saving the planet and the environment, against feeding the hungry. You would do something about the homeless. You would do something about kids not being able to eat. You would give more programs to women and single parents or parents in general with hungry kids. You wouldn't vote for people who are against that if you were truly following your Christian ways. But your energy isn't on helping the homeless, isn't on universal health care for all. Your energy is on making sure that you indoctrinate as many kids as possible so that they can too vote against themselves. We have to change our mindsets about what matters. A book does not matter. Midsummer Night's Dream, why are you banning that? That don't matter. Like, it's not going to put food on your table. It's not going to give you health care. You guys have so much disdain for freedom of thought that you try to control what information goes into people's heads. And you are starting with our kids. But if you were truly following the teachings of the God you serve, if you were truly following the Bible that you're fighting so hard for kids to actually read and for teachers to put into their curriculums, then you would be fighting for universal health care. You would be fighting to build homes for the homeless. You would be fighting for more WIC programs and benefit programs for parents who are struggling. You would be fighting for free lunch in schools nationwide. You wouldn't be asking every time somebody wants to talk about those things, who's gonna pay for it? Because if you were truly following the teachings of Christ, you'd offer to pay for it. You would advocate to have your tax dollars, churches, go specifically toward those things. But you don't, do you? You love your tax-free opinions.